Good evening, everybody. We're glad you're here. Fellowship of San Antonio, we have a special evening for you. This whole weekend is going to be really spectacular. Before I tell you what that's about, a little house business, we're going to have an announcement that we're going to have a business meeting in all three services next weekend. We have a simple vote to take on whether or not we allow saws an easement through our property. So it's just a simple yes or no vote, just giving you the legal heads up that you need. That next weekend we'll have a little congregational vote about that. So, special weekend. COVID is not done yet, obviously, with everyone everywhere. So in some of the places we try to go and do mission work, we're not able to go. Because if we get there, you have to quarantine for a week or two, and there goes your mission trip. You have to get back on the plane and come back home. Or you get there, and maybe they don't have the kind of hospital or healthcare needs that you would have if someone were to get sick. That's also a secondary issue. So because we can't go on mission trips very well this year, we just have one trip that we know of that we can take. We're going to do something different. Talked with our missions team a long time ago in the last few months, and we are going to do something quite wonderful, giving you and I the opportunity to send our money where we can't go this year, and hopefully many years to come, where we can choose to partner with a world-famous, trustworthy organization that has done this well and has a proven track record of doing this well. We are going to help support them on the ground with people that they already have in the country. So that's going to be a fantastic thing you'll get to hear more about tonight. I'm going to turn it over, invite you to stand up, and let's worship with our choir with Charlie.
Well, good evening. How's everybody doing? I'm Charlie, this is my wife Amy, and you guys have supplied us with this beautiful choir. Here's the thing, they're going to sing as loud as they can, so you guys got to sing as loud as you can to try and overpower them, and we'll just encourage one another and worship together. Through every battle, through every heartbreak, through every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress, you are my portion, you are my hiding place. I believe you are the way, the truth, the light. I believe you are the way, the truth, the light. I believe through every blessing, through every promise, through every breath I take. I believe that you are provider, you are protector, and you are the one I love. I believe that you are the way, the truth, the light. I believe that you are the way, the truth, the light. I believe you are. Oh, yes, you are. I believe you are. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today. Mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come true, because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today. Mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come true, because they can't stay long when I believe that you are the way, the truth, the light. I believe that you are the way, the truth, the light. I believe that you are. It's a new horizon. You are, you are. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing, our helper he amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still our ancient foe doth seek to work us woe. His craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate. On earth is not his equal. On earth is not his equal. Did we in our own strength confide, our striving would be losing. We're not the right man on our side, the man of God's own choosing. You ask who that may be, Christ Jesus, it is he, the Lord of hosts, his name, from age to age the same. And he must win the battle, and he must win the battle. Who was and is to come, all praise and glory to the Holy One, who was and is to come. All praise and glory to the Holy One. And though this world with devils filled should threaten to undo us, we will not fear, for God hath willed his truth to triumph through us. The prince of darkness grim, we tremble not for him. His rage we can endure, for lo, his doom is sure. Yes. One little word shall fail him. One little word shall fail him. That word above all earthly powers, no thanks to them abiding. The Spirit and the gifts are ours, through him who with us sided. Goods and kindred know this mortal life also, the body they may kill, God's truth abides still. His kingdom is forever. His kingdom is forever. Who was and is to come. All praise and glory to the Holy One, who was and is to come. All praise and glory to the Holy One. fortress is our God. A bulwark never failing. Amen.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. I'm gonna sing. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
So Charlie and I have had a really exciting time since we were last here, and
it's just gotten more exciting, I should say. It was already exciting, but we are going through like what I'm calling like our Job phase. Like, anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody? Somebody? Yeah. Yeah. So, you know how like in the Bible, Job pretty much gets like nailed from all directions, you know, like his animals, his property, his children, health. I mean, you know, you name it, like that's kind of what we're going through. And it's been all these just crazy things, and it's almost becoming comical because it's like, really? Like, really? Another thing? Like, we have another car broken? Like, how, or like, we got hit by this freak hailstorm, and like, you know, if there's like that much damage to our house in 5 minutes, I mean, it's been cool. Not really, but anyway. But through this whole experience, we've really had to draw in on our faith, right? And go, you know what, like, I'm singing about the goodness of God, right? Because I know he's good. And it's made me go, you know what, the here and now, like analyzing things from like the present perspective is terrible. And I would even say that probably most of the time when you make an analysis, right, or like a judgment about something, I don't want to use the word judgment because that sounds bad, but you know what I mean? Like you form an opinion, or you speculate about something and go, oh yeah, that's what's going on here. You're usually wrong, okay? And I just challenge you, look back at your life at all the things that like, either once you got a little bit older and you had like the hindsights, look back at it and you go, oh my gosh, you know, man, like, I was a fool, or I did that, or how crazy, you know, if I'd only known then what I know now, blah, 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 you know, or the judgments that you make in a you know, a certain situation, like, I really do not like that girl, okay, and she ends up becoming like my best friend, you know, I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So the here and now is really a terrible, terrible way to look at, you know, your view of God, because the Bible tells us all the time, go back, remember, right? David says it all the time. I remember your works. I remember this. I remember that. And God's always telling them, remember what I did for you? Remember this, remember that? Because you know what? Like, that's my character. And you know that because you've walked through that, and you have the perspective now of being able to look back and see things. But right now, like, you don't have that perspective. You haven't gotten it yet. And so we were joking, you know, phones, you know, we can see each other's location. You know, I bet there are some times when I could look at Charlie's location and be like, what is he doing, you know, over there or whatever? You know, I'm not at the diamond store, right? Is he buying me a diamond? Is he not buying me a diamond? Like, what's going on, you know? But the thing is like, I don't know. I don't have enough of the information, right? I don't have the perspective, but I know him, and I can go, well, you know what? Based on what I know him to be, he's probably doing something good, like buying a diamond. No, I'm just kidding. He did already, yeah. But anyway, so I just want to say, God is still God, right? We don't know what he's up to, but you know what? We know that all things work together for good for those who love him and who are called according to his purposes, right? And you know what? Take your definition of good out there, or your example of what you think that good is, okay? But just know that all things are working together for your good if you love God and you're called according to his purposes, which I'm guessing if you're here, you love God and you're called according to his purposes. So anyway. Earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see, and this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. And through and it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It's well. It is well with my soul. Because of Jesus, it is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. 'Cause through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me.
Amen. God, we praise you for your Son. We praise you for his blood. Lord, I thank you that despite our circumstances, you are still on the throne. You are sovereign. You know what's going on, Lord. And so often we try to take things in our own account, Lord. I pray that you would forgive us those times. Lord, but right now we give you praise. We thank you that we can be here to worship you, to give you glory and honor. You alone are worthy. Lord, I pray that you would remind us of the times over and over that you have provided, that you have been our protector. Lord, and that with everything we have, with every ounce in us, Lord, that we would cry out and give you glory. Pray these things in your name. Amen. You guys can be seated.
So much fun. Well, I'd like to introduce our guest preacher tonight, my new friend. His name is Bradley Hoffbauer. He lives with his wife and 3 kiddos in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We got a taste of Minneapolis weather a couple of weeks ago here in Texas, and we decided we didn't like it, they can keep it. But he's worked with World Vision for 11 years now. Started with them by signing up to run a half marathon in order to raise money for World Vision, one of their water projects he was raising money for. And since then, he launched the Minnesota chapter of Team World Vision, competed in more than 10 marathons, 4 half Iron Marathon triathlons, 1 Ironman triathlon. I'm already tired just reading this. And personally has raised more than $75,000 for World Vision. That's how committed he is to this organization. Currently, he helps support their church partnerships all across the United States. And while he's too humble to brag about it, he's also the lumberjack model for Brawny paper towels. I just want you to recognize this. We do this. Let's give him a warm fellowship welcome as he comes up.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Pastor Royce. I'm so thankful to be here this evening. And as we get started, I have a question for you all to ponder. Yes.
Can you try it again?
Check, check.
Something's not on. Hold on just a minute.
I'm not going to touch anything. Check, 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 check. Now it's on.
Start over. There you go.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you. As we get started this evening, I have a question for you all to think about. Have you ever had just something insanely positive occur that you just did not see coming at all? Maybe someone anonymously paid for a meal, or you won an award of some kind. But the fact that it happened at the exact moment that it happened is what made it so meaningful. My wife and I are both transplants to Minnesota. We were both born on farms in Illinois, so our entire extended family networks are still in rural Illinois. And in the last 12 years of living in Minnesota, as we've added 3 little people to our ranks, we have felt the separation from our families in some profound ways. My wife is a physician, and so we both work full-time. We both volunteer our time to support our church and other organizations like World Vision that we love. And so it's pretty common for us to feel like we have a totally full schedule. So anyway, a few years ago, before there was a global pandemic, do you guys remember that? Gosh, that was wonderful. We both got home from work. We scrambled to get the kids picked up from school. Man, remember when kids went to school each day? Gosh, that was wonderful. And scrambled to get dinner ready. We barely made it to our church's first community group gathering when we could meet in person. And I was fully expecting that after we met for this gathering, that I was going to need to figure out a child care solution for the rest of the year for our meeting time. I knew this because the group leader had emailed me about it, and she had mentioned it. So as the meeting was wrapping up and people are starting to leave, I pulled the leader aside, and I'm feeling completely scrambled from my day. I was barely present in group itself. And I just asked her, hey, what do we need to do to help plan and pay for a babysitter or something during this time? And she looked at me, and she just said, hey, it's all been taken care of. And I looked up completely stunned, far from family, overwhelmed by kids, jobs, work, volunteering, house projects. And right in that moment, I was feeling like we had no support, no help, no breaks. And so as I heard her words in that moment, I remember I almost lost it. Tears filled up my eyes, and I almost burst out crying. She probably thought I was nuts. So sometimes there is a moment, just the right time and place, when someone does something for you or says something to you, and it just radically reverses your entire spirit. In the next few moments, I would love for us all to see from John 4, the story of the woman at the well, that radical reversals in our lives, just like the story of the Samaritan woman and just like my story, they have 3 big ideas. Radical reversals center on a time and a place. Radical reversals reveal truth about ourselves and God. And radical reversals always lead to steps of action. So if you've got your Bible or your phone, you can pull it out. You can look at John 4. I'm just going to kind of describe what happens in the scripture. I'm sure it's a familiar scripture for most of you. The scriptures in John 4 describe that Jesus left Judea and he was going to make his way down to Galilee. So here's a little geography reminder for everybody. Palestine is the broader area of Jesus' ministry. It's about 120 miles from north to south, and it's divided into 3 large sections. The north is Galilee, the south is Judea, and in the middle is Samaria. Now to go around Samaria takes about 6 days, but go through Samaria only takes about 3 days. The problem is the bitter religious differences between Jews and Samaritans had lasted more than 400 years and was rooted in the very different expectations about how God would return to right his relationship with people. We don't know anything about division here, do we? Nonetheless, Jesus the rabbi, the reversal master, and his ragtag group of disciples, they make their way down through Samaria, and around noon, the hottest point of the day, they arrive at a water well, Jacob's water well. The disciples go into town to get food, and Jesus hangs back by himself. And a Samaritan woman approaches, and as she does, Jesus begins a conversation with her. Now, Jesus is a rabbi, and it's common that rabbis in this time would not even talk to their own wives and daughters in public. Not to mention an unknown woman, and definitely not a Samaritan woman. So, friends, our context here is it is noon at a well in Samaria. And what we see here is a massive, radical reversal. A Jewish rabbi is in Samaria. A Jewish rabbi is talking to a Samaritan. A Jewish rabbi is talking to a Samaritan woman in public. A Jewish rabbi is talking to a Samaritan woman who comes to the well not with all the other women when it's cool in the morning or in the evening, but by herself in the hottest moment of the day. Meaning that this Jewish rabbi is speaking to an outcast Samaritan woman at the well of Jacob. Big idea number one is that radical reversals always center on a time and a place. The context establishes the weight of the meaning. Big idea number two, radical reversals reveal truth about us and about God. It isn't surprising that when this woman hears of something called living water that ends thirst forever, offered by a Jewish rabbi, that she responds, possibly laced with some sarcasm, I would say, "Give me this water then." But then Jesus says some radically reversing words to her. "Go, get your husband, and then come back." Now, it's at this point that I imagine just a huge, mega moment of total silence. At first, she's got to be stunned that the Jewish rabbi is even talking to her. But then to say these specific words to her must have pierced deep into her heart. Now, I imagine an elephant-sized silence and then her uttering a response, maybe even under her breath, "I have no husband." You see, radical reversals with God force us to face a truth about ourselves and a truth about God. 17 years ago, I was offered a recording contract as a singer-songwriter. Oh, you're impressed now. Look at this guy. I've been a musician for as long as I can remember, and I started writing and singing and performing songs way back in high school. And after a few years after college, I was offered a recording contract. And as you can see, it didn't go so well. I'm not playing music for you today. Check this image out. I mean, yeah, rocking. Oh. The end of this journey, as funny as this is, it was pretty painful when it happened. So fast forward, a few years ago, I'm on staff with World Vision, and we're invited to participate in a spiritual exercise. Now, working for a Christian humanitarian organization, we often are invited to participate in a spiritual exercise. So I have to admit that at this specific time, I was not really interested in yet another spiritual exercise. But a colleague of mine named Beth was taking us through this exercise, and she asked us all to close our eyes and listen for a few moments. She asked us to listen for the lies. What are the lies that you hear about yourself? Like this woman at the well. So I closed my eyes, I sat in silence for a moment, And all at once, it hit me. You are a phony. It echoed in my head. You are a phony. It was loud and painful, and it felt like it was true. I didn't like this exercise. Beth said, okay, I want you to close your eyes again, and I want you to tell this lie you do not agree with it. Tell this lie that you do not and will not agree, and I want you to keep your eyes closed. So I followed her advice. And she went on, okay, now I want you to listen for the voice of God. I want you to listen to what God is saying to you right now. I want you to listen to His voice. So I sat in silence for minutes. And all at once, my eyes burst open, and I wrote down, I love it when you sing to me. Tears flooded my face, my head hit the table, and I sat there and I just sobbed. Because radical reversals occur in a specific context. And they reveal a truth about ourselves and a truth about God. The truth for me is that God loves it when I sing to Him. And the truth about me is that I can sing to a God who loves it when I sing to Him. Can you hear God tonight? Close your eyes if you need to. Listen. His Spirit is right now with us, revealing a truth about us and a truth about Himself. He says to you right now, with your eyes closed, I see you, I choose you, I love you. My child, please stop thinking about all your failures, about what the world calls you. You are my beloved. I lived for you. I died for you. I would leave 99 sheep over and over and over again for eternity on end just to come and get you and bring you back. You are mine. I love it when you sing to me. The truth about us is always rooted in one reality. We are chosen and fully loved by God, exactly as we are. And the truth about God is always rooted in one reality. God chooses to fully love each one of us exactly as we are. When we accept this foolish idea of love from God personally, and in the depths of our soul, and when we live into the fact that He chooses us and that we are His beloved, a reversal happens in us. Big idea number 2, radical reversals reveal truth about us and God. But big idea number 3 is that radical reversals then lead to action. Have you ever stubbed your toe last night? I know how your nights go. Think about the last time you stubbed your toe. Was your response measured and thoughtful? Pretty measured. Or was it immediate, natural, unstoppable? If you're like me, you maybe feel completely out of control when you stub your toe, like you have no idea what you're doing. When we experience a radical reversal from God, it's like an awesome, wonderfully happy toe stubbing. When the woman at the well experiences reversal, she doesn't just consider that maybe she could change her perspective about some things. She experiences a reversal in such a radical way that her response is immediate, natural, and unstoppable. She runs like a child back to town, forgetting her bucket and water and everything, tells everyone she sees like she's out of her mind. One of my other favorite passages like this, you're familiar with, is Matthew 25. Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. And the righteous will look at him, and they will say, Lord, when? When did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick and in prison and come and visit you? And the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me. Jesus' vision for righteous people is that we should be so out of our minds when we are loving and serving others that we aren't even aware that it is happening. His vision is that when we're living out of this radical reversal, that we would respond like we respond to a giant toe stubbing. Immediate, natural, unstoppable, but in a turning power, upside down kind of way. You see, God's heart for the poor and vulnerable is clear throughout the Bible and throughout Jesus' ministry. And in these turning power upside down words from Matthew 25, Jesus is making clear that the way to live into his kingdom is that when God moves in us, something awakens and leads us to two actions: to restore broken circumstances in our world, and to affirm the inherent dignity in every single person. What does this mean, to restore broken circumstances? It means to tangibly shift the resources in this world to those Jesus calls blessed. This means that as we encounter the most vulnerable and most impoverished people in the world today, we are driven, moved, called, almost forced to act from the inside out by the very image of God within us to provide tangible relief from the broken, terrifying, and horribly bent circumstances of those who have so little in this world, to restore broken circumstances. And in the exact same moment, we're called to automatically and naturally affirm that inherent dignity that's in every person. It means that we recognize that the image of God that is in us, causing us to act like that, is in every single person I encounter. It's so easy to gloss over this second one. The identifying of all people, but especially those people who are hungry, thirsty, homeless, naked, and prisoners. Identifying of those people as Jesus' brothers and sisters, his family, and even his very being. When you did this for one of these brothers and sisters of mine, my family, you did it for me. Jesus knows the false narrative of this world. The narrative that says when you have less, you are less. And in this one small but holy sentence, Jesus completely destroys that lie. He says, no, just because a person has less does not mean that they are less. They bear my image. So don't you dare forget, as you encounter them, you encounter me. And maybe this evening, this word is for you. Maybe someone has put the message in your mind that you are less. Hear Jesus' words. You bear God's image. You are loved. This is it, friends. These are the two actions that Jesus' radical reversal sets off in our lives: to restore broken circumstances and to affirm the inherent dignity of those around us. But we all know that when we feel that giant spiritual toe stub, and maybe you're feeling it right now, this world has conditioned us to say not a single word. Don't act crazy. Stay in line. Don't move. But when we let our heart react and burst out, we help build the reversing kingdom of God. Change happens not only for those we're serving, not only for whole communities being transformed, but our lives are changed in ways that we never thought possible. 4 years ago, my wife and I, we got the chance to go to Uganda with World Vision and meet Andrew, one of my sponsored children. Andrew had just turned 16. His mom had died when he was really young. So he's small for his age, as you can see, due to malnutrition and a lack of access to clean water. On top of that, Andrew has a learning disability, very likely caused by a combination of all these adverse circumstances in his life. You should see him light up when he kicks a soccer ball. Or when two people from across the world teach him how to throw a frisbee. I'll never forget how long he held my hand, a 16-year-old boy, while we sat at dinner. Or how long he and his dad hugged us. You see, Andrew, his dad, his community, his siblings, they all benefit from World Vision's work in their community that's fueled by my $39 a month to his family. Pooled with all the other monthly gifts just to support them. And when I recall those moments with Andrew, or the moment when someone from my church looked at me and said, "It's all taken care of," or the moment when God himself said to me, "I love it when you sing to me," it's in these moments that my heart experiences this giant toe stubbing that makes me want to sprint back to my town and shout at the top of my lungs so that people can experience the radical reversal that I've experienced. Fellowship family, in the next few moments, we have a vision that would bring this radical reversal, this love of God from your church family to partner with children and families in a place called Wa West, Ghana. Wa West. Can you believe there's a place in Ghana called Wa West? And I'm in Texas asking you to partner with that community called Wa West. Ghana sits on the western coast of Africa, and it holds a special place in my mind and heart. And I'll tell you why. Not only do my wife and I sponsor a child in Ghana, also, 15-year-old boy, his name is Solomon, but World Vision's water projects in Ghana during the 1990s proved so successful and long-lasting that in 2003, Ghana's World Vision staff helped lead the entire international NGO community to develop the Global WASH program, as it's known today. It's a globally accepted methodology for providing sustainable water access, sanitation resources, and hygiene practices that ensures communities will have sustainable access to water for decades to come. Ghana started that. The Wa West. The community of Wa West, Ghana is filled with beautiful children, and they are filled with potential. But many of the children and families simply lack the basic resources that they need in order to thrive. They're full of hope, despite the fact that they have little. And honestly, the pairing of a pioneering faith community like this with a community like Wild West, it makes sense to me. The coolest part is that each one of us has the chance to play a small but massively vital part in helping the children in this community who so desperately need our help. Today, I am inviting you, each and every one of you, to become a child sponsor. To step up and say yes to sponsoring one of the hundreds of kids in this community who are desperately waiting on a sponsor. And just like in Andrew's community, your partnership can begin to restore their circumstances and affirm their dignity. Now, for years, World Vision has partnered with churches in this way, all over the United States. We partner a church with a community in the world that's in need of transformation. It's incredible. It's a great way to see connection between relationships and communities. And typically, how I would tell you that we're going to do this is I'd ask you to sponsor a child by walking out into the lobby, and in the lobby you'd see kind of clotheslines with like clothespins and pictures of kids hanging out in the lobby. And you would see this big display, and you would choose a child and you would sponsor that child. But for the last year or so, we've been praying some big prayers at World Vision, asking that God would not let us rest, that He would push us as an organization to better and better serve His vulnerable kids around the world. And a few years ago, He birthed an idea that totally, radically reversed our world. He led us to ask the question, what else could we do to affirm the inherent dignity of these kids from the very first step of their relationship with their sponsor? What would it look like if for the first time ever this whole thing was reversed and the children were empowered to choose us?
Let me be filled with kindness and compassion for the one for whom you love and gave your son for humanity. Increase my love, so help me to love with open arms like you do. A love that erases all the lines and sees the truth. Oh, that when they look in my eyes, they would see you. Even in just a smile, they would feel the Father's love.
Friends, this coming Wednesday, there is going to be an amazing party thrown in Wild West, Ghana. And guess what? The guests of honor at this party will be the most vulnerable children in that region. This Wednesday will be the Fellowship of San Antonio choosing party, where we hope to see at least 75 of these most vulnerable kids in the area, most of whom, by the way, have been waiting on a sponsor. 75 or more of those kids invited to the party of their lives. A party where instead of continuing to wait and wait and wait and be chosen, they instead are going to walk into a room where the pictures are displayed with your faces on them, smiles of power and hope on their faces. They will choose us. And after that, after they decide who they want their sponsor to be, they're going to be invited to write us a letter about why they chose us. These letters are ridiculously adorable. And finally, like any good party, they'll spend the rest of the day in celebration mode with their family and friends and World Vision staff, celebrating not only the fact that they got sponsored that day, but that they got to choose their sponsor. How empowering is this? In the spirit of connection and celebration before the pandemic, our plan would have been to have Royce and Dewey jump on a plane to Ghana tonight to personally hand deliver your photos, and then of course to help throw the awesome party. Now obviously travel to Ghana is not going to happen. They can't physically travel to this event in person. But these kids should not have to wait any longer just because we can't go there. A party filled with connectedness and celebration, it needs to happen on the other side of the world on Wednesday. So here's what we're doing. In a minute, Pastor Royce is going to share a little more on this, but this past Thursday, he and other staff from Fellowship hopped on a video Zoom call with some of our community leaders from Africa, and it was an awesome time to just cast vision about what the future can be. And as a way to keep us all connected and celebrating together during this Choosing Party Week, we have created this Fellowship Chosen Facebook group where after you sign up today, your picture will be automatically posted into that group, and you're gonna see more about those folks from the field who we visited with, and all these things are gonna kind of merge together on this Facebook group so that we can all see what's happening. In fact, World Vision staff leaders from Ghana are actually going to try to shoot over to Pastor Royce some of the videos and pictures of the choosing party live in the moment, and then he can drop them into that Facebook group just so we can all follow what's happening. In a few minutes, I'm going to come back up and give some final instructions and next steps, but one of the things I've looked forward to hearing all week is from Pastor Royce, where he shares his heart and vision around the movement of Chosen here.
Can you imagine growing up in a place where you believe because you have less, you are less? We have a God that says, you're mine. You're in my image. I made you. We've been blessed to be a blessing here. Like Brad just said, I was on a Zoom call this week. I got to meet Justice and Esther, who are already on the ground, who've been working with World Vision for a long time in Africa. And it's my understanding that we're going to be the very first church to partner with this, what they call community development group there. And so we're going to lead the way among many other churches. It's going to take a lot of other churches to fully do this, but it's going to impact up to 50,000 people by the time it's fully taken care of. So we're going to lead the way with that. And the number of sponsors that I've been hoping for us is about 75. So if you're online with us, about 2/3 of our congregation is still at home watching from online. So we need you to help us with this too, to make this happen. Step up and reach this very ambitious goal. And I can't wait to celebrate this with you. I can't wait to get the videos and see the kids they set up this beautiful tent with this white curtains and balloons, and they just make it a fun, like a birthday party for the kids. And they get to come in, and the smiles you see on their faces are the smiles you saw in this video. They want to see who they get to pick to be their sponsor for us. So the Facebook page is up. I've already done my sponsorship last night, and I'm on the Facebook page, so you'll know if you find me, you're in the right place. And so if you feel, for any reason, like this commitment we're asking for, this $39 a month is too much, I just want to challenge you to say, make it part of your church giving, if that's what it takes. We have no doubt that God will provide for our church, because we are people who believe by faith that God's going to bless and reward those who believe in his people all around the world, especially the most vulnerable. We have no doubt about that. You might remember with me, as we've been studying through the book of 1 Peter, it started off in chapter 1. It's repeated this word chosen a couple times. So when I first started talking to World Vision, this word chosen, I said, we've been talking about being chosen. That God, he's chosen us to save us. He chose us to give a place in a community of faith. He's chosen us to serve him. Those are the three main ideas of what it means to be chosen. So your sponsorship, if you choose to do this, it lets you be a missionary in a place that you really can't go right now because COVID won't let you. But it's almost as if you're there because you're sending your support, and they have people on the ground from one of the world's most trusted organizations who have faithfully done this for a long time, and they've earned our trust. So next weekend, we'll watch a short video of that choosing party to see that, and you'll have out here in the lobby, we're going to have actual little envelopes where you can open the envelope with your name on it, and you'll get to open up and see which child chose you. And you'll be able to keep that child's face close start to pray for them, write letters to them, support them. It's going to be incredible. So I cannot be happier to offer this to you in all 3 services. And again, if you're home online, we need your help for this. We could even do 75 tonight and just be, go ahead and set the record and then see what happens tomorrow too. I'm all good with that as well. We'll turn it back over to Bradley. Let's give him some more attention. Thanks, man.
Oh, thanks so much, Royce. I'm just going to give you guys a couple of next steps. So this is the details part, right? So how do we make this happen? 3 steps. Number 1, pull out your phone right now. If you've got your phone, I got permission from Royce. He said, go ahead, tell them they can get their phone out. Get your phone out, and you're going to text the word FOSA to 56170. So in the place where you would type your friend's name normally, you type in the number, like a phone number, 56170, and then the message that you send is FOSA. FOSA. Now, if you're doing that right now, you're going to get immediately a text message back with a little link in it, and click on that link. If you're having any troubles with this at all, we have people who will help you go through it all. But I want to walk you through it, especially if you're at home, you can do this. So you text FOSA to 56170, you get a link back, you click that link. When you get that link back, it's just going to be asking you to fill out some information. Step 2, you're going to select how many kids you'd like to choose you. My family, we currently sponsor several kids. Some people can do that, some people can't. They and their families, though, have started to become part of our family. So as we step into this space, as we're letting Jesus' words to view people who are most in need as our brothers and sisters change our hearts, when you get to that question, I just want you to sit in silence for a moment and just listen to what God is asking you to do, what He's asking you to be a part of. 3rd step, most important step, is to go to one of the photo booths out in the lobby and get the most epic picture of your life ever taken, where somebody is going to choose you as their sponsor. For those of you who are at home, you can upload right now any picture of your family, or you can take a massive epic selfie family picture in your living room or whatever. And then all these pictures that are taken here in the lobby and taken at home, they're all going to make their way over to Ghana this week for the choosing party. And they're going to be displayed in a very COVID-safe way and all of that. And then next Sunday, we call it Reveal Sunday. So come back here, or if you're at home, you can stay at home, or if you're at home, you can come here, or if you're here, you can stay at home, however you want to do it. But you will get the picture next week of the child who chose you holding your picture. You'll also get a letter from that child. And as Pastor mentioned, every person chosen will have an envelope here at church next Sunday. If you're at home, we've got this awesome way to deliver it online to you or whatever. But then over time, their letter will come back to you in the mail, and you'll get to experience that as well. So don't forget, we've got this Facebook page live, so you tag yourself in the Facebook page as the pictures come up. Join the Facebook group. This is going to be an amazing place, an amazing way to celebrate today and all week long as we see this incredible party. The cutoff window to be chosen is 8 p.m. tomorrow night, April 18th. So just make sure that whatever you do, you take care of anything that you need to before then. I just want to offer a blessing today as you guys go out, and so thank you so much for having me come here today. But let me just pray for us as we leave. Father, I thank you for choosing us. I thank you for introducing radical reversals into our lives and inviting us to be part of the process of restoring broken circumstances and affirming the inherent dignity in people, rooted in your image that lives in each one of us. I pray that people would be moved to be part of your radically reversing kingdom. I pray this in your Son's holy and powerful name. Be with us as we go from here today. Amen. Thanks.